And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, Ryan Metzler again, and back with another Gen Con demo game, one that was pretty popular, it looked like, at the booth. A lot of people demoing this, and this is Food Fight from Cryptozoic Entertainment, and it's going to be a card game for 2 to 6 players that plays in probably about an hour. It doesn't really have a suggested play time, but it doesn't take too long, and it's kind of entertaining. Now, they've suggested this for 13 and up, and that's because some of the art and some of the comments on the art is a little questionable for the younger audiences. But with that said, why don't we take a look at it? It's not bad, and you're not going to have any problems watching this review. We'll take a look at what's inside this box, how the game plays, what I think of it, and whether I think you will enjoy the game as well. So here you see what comes inside the box for Food Fight, and this was the first thing that kind of surprised me a little bit. We have this sign. Now, it serves no purpose in the game, so it's just a nice little flavor touch. It's kind of cool. It features the art from the game, but who really cares? So I'm going to put this to the side for now. And the rest of what you see is some cards and a bunch of tokens. Now, there's tokens for 6 players. It's a up to 6 player game. And you're going to have plates for each player, and each player is going to get a breakfast plate. They have a lunch plate and a dinner plate, and these will be used to mark certain things throughout the game. I'll show you how those are used in a little bit. Additionally, we have a gigantic deck of cards here. These are the Food Fight cards, and you can see there's quite a few cards here. There's even a few more that I didn't manage to grab, but these are going to be the main focus of the game. Each round, players are going to get dealt 9 of these, and the players are going to actually use a drafting system in order to choose the cards. So why don't we take a look at some of these cards? There are 2 real types of cards. There are instant cards, which give you some type of effect. So, for example, the ketchup mechanic here, he allows you to play only if you have 4 or fewer victory points, and your troop that you're playing this card on, he's going to give him 6 more attack. Or it's actually called, yumminess in this game. So 6 more yumminess. Now here we can see this is a breakfast troop. We have the fry and egg, and he has a yumminess of 5, so that's going to be his value for fighting, whether he fights at a breakfast, lunch, or dinner meal, and I'll explain what that means in just a minute. He has no other abilities, but you'll see as we go through this deck, this is a really nice instant card that'll give you some crazy special effect. We have First Sergeant Fish Stick, who is himself a lunch fighter. We have Sergeant Sushi, who has a yumminess of 4. He's a dinner fighter, and he has +4 for each other troop with an even yumminess in your army. So as you use this guy, you want to try and focus on having even guys in your army. And so all of these guys are going to have special abilities that work together, and they're going to oftentimes depend on what meal you're fighting for. And that's going to depend on this deck of battlefield cards. So the battlefield cards are all just kind of interesting things. So this is the Battle of the Balls. You see there's a nice fat guy on here. And the art's really kind of good on these cards. You have the Bay of Pigs in a Blanket, all kinds of fun punny things to go with food. Breakfast, this is a breakfast fight. This here would be a dinner fight. We have Triumph at Spaghettiburg. We have a lunch fight, which is Operation Enduring Freedom Fries. And so each turn you're going to draw 3 of these battles. They're going to be face up. So we know here we have 2 breakfast fights worth 1 and 3 points, and these would actually go together. So now we have a breakfast worth 4 points, and we're going to have a dinner that's worth 3 points. And players will draft their hands of cards. So let's say I have my 9 cards here. I don't know if this is actually 9, but who cares? And I'm going to choose one, and I'll pass these to the next player, and they'll choose one. And what I'm going to want to try and do is get troops that work together to either fight for the breakfast or the dinner points. And so after I get all of my cards, I'll have 9 cards in hand. I'm going to choose 5 of them to go fight. So let's say I choose these 5 cards, and they're all breakfast cards, which is probably a pretty good idea, since breakfast is worth 4 points. I would take these, I would place them down, and then on top of them, in secret, I would choose one of my plates. So let's say I'm the yellow player. I chose all those breakfast cards. I probably want to fight for breakfast. So I'm going to take my plate, and I'm going to place it face down. And every other player is going to be doing the same thing. They'll be making a hand of 5 cards, choosing their plate, putting it face down, and they're going to keep the rest of their cards that they had in their hand, because they may have instants that allow them to allow them to adjust how their army fights. So after everybody's played their fights, they're going to take these, they're going to reveal them, and I'll say, I'm fighting for breakfast. And if anybody else is fighting for breakfast, we're going to have a battle over the breakfast to get the highest yumminess in order to get those victory points. And so, essentially, you're going to take your hand and you're going to shuffle it. You don't know what order your cards are going to come out in. This is a little bit of a random element that I don't like too much because it kind of ruins some of the planning. But you're then going to flip, everybody's going to flip their first card for that battle. And as you see here, I flipped Big Bad Bacon. And he's one of the best breakfast cards I can have. He's worth 11 yumminess. That's pretty high. And he has a special ability that's not going to pertain to a direct interaction, so I'm not going to go over that right away. But essentially, that gives me 11 points towards winning this victory. And everybody else is going to flip their card up. And we're going to play any instance that we might have in order. And whoever has the highest yumminess at the end of that's going to get one of these little tokens. These are tokens for winning a battle. They look like little candies. And essentially, we're going to go through all 5 cards this way. So then I would flip up my Private Waffle. And Private Waffle says for each General Chicken that I have, so chicken and waffles, haha. For each chicken that I have, he's going to be +6. So even though he's a 6, if I had a chicken, which is actually a lunch or dinner card, I can't remember, he's going to get +6. So there is some benefit to mixing cards for different meals. And then the next card, I have a bowl of cereal. And then the next card, I have another frying egg. And we go through that, and whoever wins each battle is going to get one of these tokens. And basically, the idea is to get the majority of the tokens. So you're going to want to get 3 tokens in order to win the battle. And then if you do, you would take these cards and you'd add them to your victory points. And the objective is to get to a set amount of victory points. Whoever gets there first wins. Now, there is a mechanic. Let's say 2 people, or everybody fights for breakfast and nobody's going to fight for dinner. Everybody ignores dinner. It's only worth 3 victory points, whereas breakfast was worth 4. What happens then is that the dog comes into play, and the dog is basically a deck of cards that prevents you from being able to immediately or to win a area by default. So you see this here, and it's going to act just like a deck of cards for an opposing player. So each time you're going to shuffle these, you're going to flip them. You have to beat a 7, okay? If you don't beat a 7, the dog takes that token. And, they go all the way up to 20, which is pretty hard to beat. If the dog wins, he takes the token. If the dog loses, you take the token. And if you get the majority of the tokens, you're going to take that card. And you proceed on to the next round, dealing out 3 battlefields, drafting your 9 cards, and whoever gets to your set amount of victory points first wins. So that's Food Fight, and I have a little bit of a conflicting opinion about it. So the game got a lot of demoing done at Gen Con. I myself actually played it there. And I do enjoy playing the game. It's a very light game. It's a fun game. Obviously, you play it a lot for the art, for reading the cards. And it's a little bit Munchkin-esque in that there is quite a bit of randomness to it. I like the fact that you get to draft your own cards. I like the fact that you get to choose which army you're going to fight with and which meal you're going to fight over. But I don't like the fact that you shuffle your deck that you've chosen. It would make a lot more sense if you could take the cards, play them in a specific order that's going to benefit you the most, and then reveal them to get the effects. They have all these interacting effects, but you may not get the cards in an order in which it actually helps you. So, with that said, the game is probably a little long for what I'd like it to be, but you could easily fix that by reducing the amount of victory points. It's fun, it's simple, it should be a filler, and if you reduce the amount of victory points you need, it would be a filler. They went into a lot of effort marketing this game, so the artwork's very good. It comes with that nice sign, it comes with a hat, or at least if you were at the con, you could get a hat, buttons, promo cards, all kinds of different things. And they really did put a lot of work into this game. They're really trying to please their customers by making a nice quality product. And I think they've done that. So if you like lighter fare, pun intended for the meals, why don't you go take a look at Food Fight? I think you'll enjoy the game. If you're not so much into lighter games, you probably want to look elsewhere.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.